Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Careful for Spoilers. I am your host, James Barnes, and today, guys, I am very excited to finally be talking about the Avengers Endgame trailer. I love that name, by the way, Avengers Endgame. It really symbolizes the end of this phase in the MCU. Like, I'm really excited to find out what our heroes are going to do to defeat Thanos. Like, I'm usually really good at being able to guess like what I think is going to happen, the kind of track that they're going to take. And I do have a couple predictions. I do have a couple things that I think are going to happen in Avengers Endgame, and we'll get there. But I really wanted to talk about the things that I noticed from the trailer and things that I think that might happen based on what I saw in the trailer. So let's jump into it a little bit. First off, the trailer starts with Tony leaving a message for Pepper in the Milano. They're drifting off into space. Tony and Nebula specifically are drifting off into space with no fuel, no food. Like Tony mentioned that food and water ran out 4 days ago, and oxygen is going to run out the next day. So the thing is, what are they going to do? Who's going to find them? How do they get out of this situation? And this trailer was edited so well to make you think that Tony might actually die, even though you know he won't. Like, let's be honest, he won't die. They might kill him in the movie, I'm not saying that, but definitely not in that moment. I feel like that scene is going to be towards the beginning of the movie, and they're not going to kill Tony in that way. So the thing is, who will find them? And I was thinking to myself, what if Valkyrie and the rest of the survivors of Asgard, they don't have a home. They also might be out in a ship in space. They might find them. What about Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel wasn't around on Earth during the events of New York. She wasn't there during the events of Age of Ultron or Thor: The Dark World. And there's no way you could tell me that she was there and she didn't do anything to help the Avengers. You can't tell me that. So the only logical explanation is that she wasn't even on the planet to begin with. What if this is Kevin Feige's way of creating S.W.O.R.D. and introducing S.W.O.R.D. into the MCU? For those of you that don't know, S.W.O.R.D. is the space equivalent to S.H.I.E.L.D. What if they find them? We don't know. There's a scene later on in the trailer when Nebula puts her hand on Tony and he doesn't move. And it's such good misdirection. And in the trailer, they point to that when Captain America says, "We've lost friends." Like, it's such good editing of a trailer, like, to make you think that something is going to happen that might not. Like, it's such good editing. But the very next scene after we see Tony in the Milano is we see Cap, Black Widow, Bruce, and Thor at the Avengers facility. And Cap is crying, dude. Like, he lost his best friend. They've all lost people that they care about. And it's crazy. Like, there's real weight to the events of Avengers Infinity War, and I love it. And there's a scene in there where Bruce is looking at these monitors of people who were dusted after the snap, and Shuri was there. Shuri was on one of the screens. And after Infinity War, I said to myself, I was like, Shuri is going to be the key in some way. Like, I also thought that Scott is going to be a huge factor that we have to pay attention to in the events of Avengers Endgame. But I definitely thought that Shuri was going to be a part of that process, and it threw me off seeing the fact that Shuri got dusted. Like, it's crazy, but I really like that. It was so subtle, just off into the corner. It's like, man, Shuri's gone. The greatest mind on the planet is gone. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And I love the line that Cap says, the full line: "We've lost all of us. We've lost friends. We've lost family. We lost part of ourselves." And that part where he says we lost family, it switches to Clint in Tokyo killing people with a katana. Like, it's crazy. Well, not necessarily a katana, but it was this really dope sword. And the moment I saw him, I was like, could this be his evolution into Ronin? Like, I thought that was really cool. And for those of you that don't know anything about Ronin, Ronin in the comics was created during the events of the House of M storyline. Scarlet Witch erased a lot of people out of existence, and Clint was one of those people. And after his resurrection, he was never the same again. And he took on the mantle of Ronin, and he became something else. Green Arrow reference for those that didn't get it. It was really cool to see that. And when you really think about it, obviously the MCU is not going to tackle the House of M storyline. They don't have the rights to do that. That has to do with the X-Men and Fox. So how are they going to explain his transformation into Ronin? And I think it can be easily explained just by saying that his family was dusted in his arms right in front of him, much like how Peter was dusted right in Tony's arms. What if that happened to Clint's family? All at once, right in front of him, they were all dusted. Clint was a part of defeating Loki. He was a part of defeating Ultron. Like, Clint has saved the world more than once, and he couldn't save his family in that moment. He had to sit there and he had to watch them be dusted. Can you imagine what that could do to anyone psychologically? Especially somebody with the skills of Clint. So this is the way that he's dealing with that trauma, that way he's dealing with those emotions. He's become something different. He's taken on a completely different mantle. And the way that Black Widow was looking at him in that scene is like, she looked like she was seeing someone that she completely didn't recognize. And I'm really looking forward to what kind of arc Clint is going to take from here with this transition into Ronin. So I thought that was really cool. And like, I really don't know what's going to happen in this movie, guys. Like, again, like, I always feel like I have a good grasp of where these things might end up going, and this is a great feeling. I love not knowing. I love feeling like there is some kind of mystery, and I'm wondering what the plan is, because towards the end of the trailer, Black Widow says, the plan is going to work, and Cap is like, I know it will, because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't. And it's like, man, Chris Evans is so great as Captain America. Every line he delivers is so powerful, so believable. Like, Captain America is my favorite Marvel character. I just love the fact that the moment that he realized he wanted to become a soldier, he didn't do it because he was just born with powers. He didn't become a hero. He didn't become a soldier because he had special abilities, because he was really smart, really rich. He just wanted to help people. He saw what would happen when people do nothing, and he was one of those people that said, I have to do something. And I love that character, and Chris Evans brings him to life every single time he's on screen. And I love it. Everything he says, again, is just so powerful to me. And then as soon as that part ends, we get the epic logo. Like, the Endgame logo is so sick. Like, I love the poster. It's so simple too. Like, and this is just the first poster. Like, I can't wait to see the one with the characters actually on it. But it symbolizes to me the beginning of what we're about to get ourselves into with Endgame. And I thought it was a good representation. Now, the trailer finally ends and we see Scott Lang, and Paul Rudd is a gem. Paul Rudd is a gem. This dude is just so funny, because there's still going to be some kind of humor in this film, and Scott is going to bring that humor. And again, I think he's going to play a huge part in Avengers Endgame. But in what way, you ask? This is where I'm going to go into my predictions, simply based on those set photos that we saw a couple months ago, and also this trailer. So in the set photos, we see Thor looking exactly the same way he did in the events of the first Avengers. We see Tony we see Bruce, we see Scott, and we see Cap. Now, the strange thing is, we see Tony in a SHIELD uniform. Like, this is so weird. Like, is this potentially an alternate timeline where Tony Stark is the head of SHIELD? We don't know. There's really cool things that they could be playing with in this movie. It might not just be simple time travel. And let me talk about the time travel real quick. At the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne says a very specific line warning Scott to not travel too far or else he'll get sucked into a time vortex. I think that these guys, our heroes, are going to use the quantum realm and these time vortexes, and I think they might end up in an alternate timeline, and I think their goal is to go back in time before the snap and find a way to defeat Thanos. That is my thought. Now, if you've seen the set photos, you'll see that they're wearing some kind of wrist device. Now, I think these devices allow them to travel through the quantum realm safely. Now, I do have that thought, but what does that mean for this version of Tony that we see in the set photos? Now, this is all out of context. We have no idea. We have no idea what this actually means. This is just me speculating, but what does that mean for this version of Tony? Why does he have one? Does he believe them, and is he willing to go through time with them to help? You know what I just thought of? What if, this is crazy, I literally just thought of this. I took pages of notes and I'm actually just now thinking of this. What if that moment I was talking about before on the Milano, what if Tony Stark dies at the beginning of the movie in that moment, and this version of Tony is the Iron Man that we see fight Thanos with the rest of the Avengers? That would be insane. That would be insane. That would be ballsy. It would be a cool way of killing a major character, but still finding a way to bring them back. The Arrowverse does it all the time. Like, they kill characters. Oh yeah, there's an R2 version of them. We're good. We never know. It could be the same thing. That's actually really interesting. But who knows? And again, I love that mystery. I love not knowing where this could really go. Like, what if Thor is given a second chance? Going back to Infinity War, where Thanos told him, you should have gone for the head. What if they go back in time just enough for Thor to throw Stormbreaker and cuts Thanos' head clean off, or just cuts off his arm so they could use the gauntlet? What if Captain Marvel puts on the gauntlet after Thor cuts his arm off and they're able to use I don't know. Like, I'm obviously just geeking out thinking of a bunch of different things, but it's all boils down to the fact that I am extremely excited to see Avengers Endgame. Like, I can't wait to see what they're going to show us in the next trailer, because this could give us more levels, more context, more insight into what this film is going to be. This epic end of this chapter, this phase in the MCU, and I am beyond excited. Guys, thank you so much for listening to me ramble on about Avengers Endgame and my predictions. Please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, at Careful for Spoilers. Follow me all over social media at C4 Spoilers. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. It really does mean a lot to know that you guys out there like listening to my stupid thoughts about movies and comics and stuff like that. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.